Alright, just double checking that everything works, and we are live! Welcome to the Listers channel. I am a person who goes by the name Listers, and I hopefully have fixed the mic quality that caused me to sound like I'm still eating as I speak. Today we are playing the expression Amrilato, which is a game that I have started a long time ago. And I think this might be the third year that I haven't finished this game, but that's mostly out of struggles with keeping any kind of schedule or being awake at all. Plus, anyway, the last few years have been somewhat chaotic in my life. I'm gonna do one little study mode to see if I remember any Esperanto at all. This is despite yeah, like traditionally, like I did a lot of Esperanto on Duolingo for reasons that may eventually occur. It's okay. Sometimes staying alive takes a lot of effort and energy. Yeah, it does, trainee. It really does. Like it's surprising. It really you wouldn't think it. Like I really when I was a kid and I looked at and growing up, I was like, I'll be able to do anything, and then you get to a certain point, and it's you start realizing how hard it is. You know. Either way, it's like it's a small things. Yeah, I'm gonna give infinitive study a little warm up before I try and remember where in the isekai fish I am.
Montri, Vidi, Rigardi, Audi, Auscruti, Poke.
Yeah, okay, so Montri is to show, Vidi is to see, Vigardi is to look. I've all these still memorized in the form of actions. And, soon I'll have a 3D setup, I think, but that won't be for a little while. And you'll see what I'm actually doing with here, because it's like I remember being told a long time ago by one of my teachers. I can't remember high school or primary school that if you do an action while you're remembering something, it helps give more. It helps you remember. So it's like I'm just saying these in British Sign Language as a thing of trying to remember them. So to show, to see, to look, to hear, to listen, to call, to tell, to speak. That's war. Speaks that. To talk. To think. To imagine. My teacher suggested to hit yourself in the foot with a hammer because apparently it helps you remember to. I think I've tried that before and it didn't work, but I'm very forgetful. It's one of the things of like there are several things that like little memory aids that haven't worked. One of them I remember is like if you've turned the stove off, right? You say something weird each time you turn the stove off, but you have to change it each time or you'll stop remembering. And I stopped remembering after the first time. And imagi concentrigi. Concentrigi. Yeah. Okay. That's definitely not the sign language for concentrigi, but I don't remember what concentrate is in British Sign Language.
Giri, Paroli, Babiri, Pensi, Imagi, Concentrigi.
Concentrigi. Yeah, the G has a thingy on it. It's not an umlaut. I don't know what these things are called. Of all of these, Audi and Ascalti seem the most similar and the most likely to mix up for me. Ausculti. 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 Okay, let's try. Go on highest difficulty to call. That's Voki. To look. I think it's a regard. That's still regarded. Imagi.
ず
To call Voki.
もう問題見なもう次のプリントに行っちゃ
What I'm glad this game does is it doesn't keep you bored whenever you're doing these. So if you're doing really well,
えストディ
it'll
エスプローリ
yeah. If you're doing really well, it skips to the next part because it's like okay, you get it. So compreni, memori, instrui, lerni, study. No, that's read. Study's this. But, study. Esplori. Demandi? Demandi. That's demandi, yeah. Demandi. Respondi. Oh crap, half. Leggi. Scrivi. Decini. Pentry. Decini. Segni. Scrivi. Leggi. Rispondi. Demandi. Esplori. Studi. Learni. Instrui. Memori. Compreni.
デマンディ
I'm not as confident as this as I was a long time ago. Infinitive is a word to understand. Compreni.
自分の才能が怖い
To learn that is learni.
もう問題
To teach. Instrui.
見えてきた気がする
Aski. No, not aski. Demandi.
自分の才能が
To read leggi.
とりあえずもう
There we go.
イーリレニパンシパーシクリサルティジェティマウビハルティアテンディスターリシーディ
Okay. Iri. Veni. Passi. Pasci. Curi. Salti. Jetti. Movi. Halti. Attendi. Stari. Sidi. Iri. Veni. Pasci. Pasci. Curi. Salti. Jetti. Movi. Halti. Attendi. Stari. Sidi. Right, okay. Let's go hard. To wait, that's Halti? No. That's Halti stop. Attendi.
私念押し連続
To
すり込みだ
wait is attendi. To move is movi.
自分の才能が
To come is curi. No?
しレニ
Veni. Oh. Veni, okay. Stand is stari.
もう問題見
Sidi.
とりあえず
Attendi.
もう問題もうトゥーシ
Okay. You can tell I'm not as confident as I was a few months ago.
リセビマンジトリンキドルミベキージベンディアチェティパーギ
Okay. Tushi. Tensi. Havi. Doni. Recivi. Mangi. Trinki. Dormi. Vecchigi. Right. Vendi. Accetti. Paghi. Ah, crap. Yeah, okay. I know a long time ago I did have different signs for all of these, and I can't remember what the last three are. All three of those in VSL in my mind are the same word, and I don't know if that's actually true, but I've forgotten more of that than anything else. Tushi, Tensi, Havi, Donny, Recivi, Manji, Trinky, Dormy, Venkiji. Why do I keep saying Venkiji? Vekiji, Vendi, Aceti, Pagi, Chetty, Pagi, Vendi. I don't have 3 things there either. To eat, that's Manji.
とりあえず
Je mange le gomme.
と
To wake up, Vikiji?
自分の才能が怖い
Twinkie.
とりあえ
To pay Paggy.
ず見えてきた気がす
To give, Donny.
もう次のが
Okay, hard mode.
ねもし連続
Smeg it, that was a misclick. To show, it's not Jetty, that's Fro. Explore, Respondy is to answer. Learn is to learn. Pashi, Monterey.
見えてきた気がする
To buy a Paggy. No, it's not Paggy, it's a Chetty.
もう問題見な
To sell, Vendi.
とりあえず
Tell, Abilities to talk. Healthy is to stop. Memories to remember. VD is to see. Deary. I think it's Veni. Nope. It was Deary.
ビリ
To write, Screeby.
私
To give, Donny.
見えてきた気がす
To wake up, Venkiji.
私
One more try. Starry.
自分の才能が怖い
To remember, memory.
もう問題見な
To go, that is, eerie.
見えてきた気がする
Concentrigi. Concentrigi.
自分の才
To eat manji.
私自分に合格点をあ
There
げ
we
よ
go.
う勉強おしまい
Alright, okay. I remember most of it. So let's try and remember the smeg we are. This is a place to have come back to. Correlatives unlocked.
気にせずどうぞ私は疲れて食べられないから
Please go ahead. I'm tired, so cannot eat. It's the only time I can't eat when I'm tired.
結構無理させちゃったかな
I wonder if I pushed her too hard. If we took advantage of the fact no, it's coming to the library and spent a long time working one-on-one. Pretty close to being ready to quit myself.
どうかした
Something
うん
wrong.
ルカは悪くないよ
Nah, you're fine, Ruka. Couldn't bring myself to say that. I thought she was adorable and could keep listening to her explain words until the cows came home.
どうぞお弁当温めてきたから冷めないうちに
Go ahead. I warmed the lunch for you before it gets cold. Was it okay to have food and drink in the library? That's the thing, right? I used to spend like 8 hours a day in the library, right? And having a drink at the library was necessary. I would usually go out for food because, like, it's understandable not to want to eat food in the library, but sometimes I did go to Tesco and bring one through. But the new library that I go to, you're not allowed to drink in the library, and that makes it really hard for me to do the 8-hour programming sessions that I used to do when I was in university. And it's really frustrating because I have to go out and I have to put my laptop away because I'm not leaving my laptop in the library. And I have to have a drink. And if I'm already outside and not working, it's very hard for me to come back inside and start working again. It's like I'm very much I've started and I'm not going to stop. Miss Ray, the librarian, gave me permission, so it should be fine, right? At least I should at least avoid touching any books until I've washed my hands. There we go. That's how you eat and drink in the library.
それじゃあいただきますっていいですか?
Well, thanks for the food, okay to say. And I was like, is there an Esperanto equivalent of set fan?
食事の前の挨拶? それは人それぞれよ.
You're able to focus on programming for that long. I'll admit that that's a good day, right? On a good day, it's 8 hours of programming non-stop and I'm good. A lot of the time, it's about 4 or 5 hours that I can do programming for straight. If it once again is a day that I'm able to. Occasionally, though, and more often than not these days, I do have days where it's like I can do about 30 minutes and then my concentration's gone. But yeah, it's like on a good day, it's still about 8 hours. I have had recent days where I have just done 8 hours straight programming, and it's the thing is, every once in a while, I have to remind myself that programming is fun, and if you get to that point where it's like you're hammering out problem after problem, it is really fun, right? And you get into that flow state where you don't want to stop, right? And that usually lasts several hours. It's until the first problem that you can't solve, right? You bang your head against the wall, and when it hits about 3-4 times that you don't solve that problem, and it's not just forgetting a semicolon, then that usually is where the morale drops. Which is why about 4 or 5 hours is usually all I can do, because once I solve the first problem, then I'm on a roll. And when I'm on a roll, it doesn't stop until I get to the next problem that's completely smegs me. As of recently, it's mostly because I keep losing my files, and that's just the thing of like, well, 30 minutes. That's me. 30 minutes. I don't have to reprogram all the stuff that I programmed last time. That is most of the issues I've had recently.
Guten Appetit!
Guten Appetit. So there is an Esperanto equivalent of Setfan and Itadakimasu. Seeing Ruka energetically raise her voice. See? C++. It was a programming language that I'm usually using. It's usually C. It used to be C# a lot when I was working with Unity. I still have that idea. Like C++ is my main language. That is my main thing. I'm specifically trained as a game developer, so C++ is the most useful language for game dev. And even then, I'm going to go back to that as I'm going to be working with the Unreal Engine really soon. I really should be working with it now, but I've been kind of it's near Chinese New Year. It's a holiday, so yeah. When we did, she looked curiously between the two of us and tilted her head. I've actually made a thing in C before. I was using a virtual console though. I don't know if that counts. And also, it didn't have structs in C. And I'm like, how do you use C without structs? Well, I say that. Of course, I'd say that. I use C++. But yeah. That gesture was just too cute to bear. This is too much. Oh, I didn't know that would have a line to it. If I put my feelings into words, Miss Ray would cock her head to the side too. It's like a change of setting makes everything new. This was the first time I'd eaten with Ruka outside the apartment. That is a surprise, actually. Oh, it was also my first time with Miss Ray. Yeah, like, every time you're out, usually someone asks, hey, do you want to get something to eat? Even if it's just a Greg's, which over here is the cheapest thing. Do you also have pointers in C++? Yes, we have pointers in C++. Yeah, they're the main thing that C++ seems to be known for. And when a lot of the time when you talk to people who program outside of C++, it's usually the thing they'll complain about. And then I use C# and I'm like, I miss pointers. What's wrong, Rin? Do you not like... Fine, I'm not really a picky eater. Oh, too close, too close. I had to be conscious of Miss Ray too. Oh yeah. I should be grateful she gave me such a delicious lunch. It looked like she always ate lunch in the library. Libraries are good places to eat lunch. You get peace and quiet, and you also get to work while you eat. By yourself, I wondered. It's a good thing to do it. It's like, no way, that couldn't be true. She probably went over to the Visitanto administration and ate with her co-workers. Maybe the people over there were more her type. You thinking something improper? Don't be preposterous. where the heck could the word preposterous been lurking? In any case, I had to be careful not to accidentally blurt out what I was thinking, even more than usual. Ray's is good. Yes, very good tea. Rei no bento oishii desu. Ka. Proper words convey meaning. Words mean things. Miss Ray said with a look of composure, reminding me of what she had said to me while we were studying. Proper words convey proper meaning. She was absolutely right. In my old world, I took it for granted that I could chat with anybody I wanted, speaking and being spoken to with ease. The reason that was possible was that we all spoke Japanese. Hey, she's a poet and she didn't even know it. If there were people who couldn't speak Japanese mixed in, conversation would be impossible. No, that wasn't quite right. If everybody knew a shared language, they could manage to communicate even without Japanese. In my old world, English seemed to be like it would be the most likely candidate. I'm so hopeless. Thinking about that made me realise what a limited existence I had in my old world. Had I lived in such a small world? That's one of the things a lot of people's regrets, like life regrets, not learning another language. I don't know about that because I failed to learn about 5 now. I'd never really had any desire to travel overseas. Neither do I. But since I had studied English in school, I always figured I could manage in a pinch. Yeah, I feel I have opinions about that. But now that I'd actually gone somewhere I didn't speak the language, I'd had to revise that belief. Words were essential. That's what I've wanted to convey with everybody, Yuzu and the others. No joke. You guys need to... You guys need to at least study English seriously at school. It wasn't very likely they'd ever set foot in a world like this the way I had, so I couldn't exactly say, learn Yuliamo. But when I thought about how simply knowing different words might open up the possibility of grasping unfamiliar concepts and culture. Doesn't that make you kinda excited? Yeah, right. I didn't even have the means to express myself, so there was no point in even thinking about this stuff. Your smile. Oh. I was going to say, one thing I do remember from last time was that Ray refuses to teach Rin any Esperanto Yuliamo. And she needs to instead learn it from Ruka, which I believe is some sort of this is one of those things this game actually does quite well, where it's a cultural understanding, where there's a cultural etiquette that's in this game that Rin doesn't understand yet, I think. Huh. What?
疲れた。だから、ユリアも禁止。
Was very, very genuinely tired. It wasn't just an excuse for me to give me her lunch.
私、すごい迷惑をかけて、本当に。
Been in such an imposition. I'm really.
ね、ゾルグ。
Ne, Zorgu.
レイ、ユリアも。
I don't remember what Ne Zorgu means. Oh yeah.
ああ、失敗したわ。
Have I messed up again? Ray's expression immediately turned into a scowl when Ruka called out to her. What, this thing just
さっ
happened?
きレイと約束しました。お昼のお休み、ずっと日本語を話す。
Before made promise with Ray. Lunch break, always speak Japanese.
どうして？
Why?
それはリン、無理するから。
That's asking too much, Ren.
ルカ、そこまでよ。それより、あなたは話すことあるのでは？
Ruka, enough. Besides, you have something to ask? Huh? What? The way she kept tilting her head had my excitement levels amped to their max.
リンはいいの？うやむやにして。
Are you okay, Ren? Leaving up in the air?
うやむや？
In the air? That other side, the lighting was perfect.
いいわ。リンが気にしないのならそれで。
If Ren does not mind, then
なんでしょう。
mind what?
とてもだらしない顔ね。
Such a sickening face, Ren. I was doing it again. Clearly adjusted my expression in my hands and recovered my usual regal smile. But Ruka was suddenly looking at me with serious
リン
expression.
にお願いあります。
Rin, I have a request, she
なん
said.
でしょうか。
What is it?
リンは日本語話してください。
Rin, speak Japanese, please. I believe this is the cultural exchange where a lot of the time I see a lot of things where Japanese people will want to speak English to a lot of native speakers, native English speakers, a lot, and it's very hard for a native English speaker to then speak Japanese back. So I think that this is one of those internal rules where it's like a case of, okay, at this time we speak one language, the rest of the time we speak the other, and that's a good way for both parties to learn language from each other, especially because Rin is very stuck. Like, she's very immersed in it, whereas Ruka isn't, and she still wants to learn.
まあ話すなって言われても話しちゃうけど。
Okay, you can ask that, but I'd do it anyway. I could barely speak Yuliamo.
ちょっと違う。どう言えばいい？レイ。
Little different. How should I say the...
私は手を貸しません。あなたのことの葉で伝えなさい。
Will not help. Use your expressions. I don't know why it's highlighted.
でも難しい。
Technically, that would be Kotonoha in Japanese, but which is the name of the game. But Kotonoha Yuliamo. No, Kotonoha Amrilato, I believe, is the name of the game. So it's almost the name of the game. But it's hard.
自分のことの葉でどうぞ。
Even so, use your own expressions. At Miss Ray's refusal, Ruka puffed her cheeks into a pout. But then she went right back to smiling and nodded her head.
私、リンのことの葉好き。
I like your expressions, she says.
私の言葉、ことの葉か？
Kotoba's words. Kotona. I'm learning 2 languages at once. I'm always learning multiple languages. It's always been my thing. It's like on Duolingo, it's like I had 4 languages on there. Svegan, Esperanto, Japanese, Gaelic, and Latin. The only ones I made any real progress in were I believe it was Japanese and Gaelic, but it might have been Esperanto and Gaelic, because those 2 I looked up a specific way that you were meant to go through the what the best way to go through the course was, and I did that, and it was very effective. And then they changed the way that course worked, and then they've written the AI stuff, so I left. I'm not using Duolingo again because yeah, no, it's like when they deleted all my stuff, I was like, oh, that's unfortunate. And then they bring in that, and I'm like, nah, there's no reason for me to return. But that does mean I need to find alternative ways to learn Gaelic and Yuliamo. And Japanese, I had an Anki thing for it, and I didn't proceed with that. I really should have. But yeah, I'm constantly learning some Japanese as we go on. Man, thinking about it, it's like I dropped Latin because Latin's too hard, but I learned British Sign Language instead. So yeah, that is about 4 languages I actually have any serious attempt at learning.
はい。だから日本語で話して私聞きたい。
Yes, so speak Japanese. I want to hear.
そんな私の日本語なんて別に綺麗でもなんでも
I don't really think my Japanese is lovely or anything.
ダメですか？私リンの声を聞いて日本語覚えたい。
You want? I want to learn Japanese, hearing your voice.
もう十分上手だよ。
It's already pretty good. That's the difference between high school level and complete beginner. What's this feeling? I don't really understand it, but my face was hot.
私の先生になってください。
Rin, please be my sensei.
ルカ。
Sensei means teacher. This was bad. I finally realised the nature of these feelings boiling up inside me.
すみません。ちょっと席外します。
Sorry, I need to get up for a minute.
リン。
Rin,
そっとしておいてあげなさい。
Rin, just let her be. Left the two of them behind and rushed to the bathroom. I should have been able to hold it together.
変だな。変だよね。絶対に変だよね。私。
It's wrong, something's wrong. Something's definitely wrong with me. Across from me was a smiling face that could take on anything. All Ruka had done was ask me to teach her Japanese. And it made me choke up so hard I had to put my hand over my mouth.
こんな私でも。
Even with who I am, even though I could barely speak a word of this world's language, even though I was nothing but a bird's honor, in spite of all of that, Ruka. I was happy even if it was a lie. At least this way I was.
必要としてくれて。
You did buy her for something. Oops.
必要
Helps if I don't accidentally go back.
くれて。リン、平気ですか？
Rin, you alright?
心配かけてごめんね。ちょっと勢いよく食べたせいで。
Yeah, sorry for making you worry. I think I just ate too fast. It's pretty transparent line even by my standards. But the truth was too embarrassing to say, so mutter mutter. Then something took me a little by surprise.
今日はリンを送って戻りなさい。特別に許可します。
Accompany Rin home today. I give special permission, Miss Ray said, wielding the authority of a teacher. I left the library of Ruka, walking at a leisurely pace.
レイさんに気を使わせちゃったよね。
Miss Ray was watching out for me. Not just the thing where I ran into the bathroom, but before and after that too. Made sure I wasn't overwhelmed with studying. The real reason why Giuliano was forbidden while eating was probably out of consideration for me, so that the three of us could have a conversation using the expressions we knew. The thought of that made me feel like I had the enduring support of the people around me.
ありがとう、レイさん。そしてルカも。
Thank you, Miss Ray, and you too, Ruka. I thanked the girl walking next to me silently in my head. Then Ruka stopped in her tracks and surprised me just by looking my way. Then after blinking several times, she made an incredibly pitiful
思い
face.
出しました。私 約束っぽいしだ。
Okay, I remembered a weasel and promise.
ぽい
Weasel. Hearing those rare sounds come out of Ruka's mouth left me surprisingly shaken.
私、学校のこと話してない。
And not say about school.
学校で起きたことの報告？
You're going to tell me something that happened at school?
違います。
Oh, about
図書
library
室
school.
学校のこと。ああ、そう言われてみれば。
Is it deliberately misspelled? I'd passed the correlatives test, so Ruka was supposed to tell me about why the library was her school.
うまく説明できない。
I cannot
Gomen,
explain well, sorry.
あの時、言える自信ありました。でも、今。
Then I believed I could say, but now...
ああ、いいの。日本語だと難しいんでしょ？
Oh, it's fine. Japanese is hard, you know?
そうです。
Yeah.
それだったらさ、ちゃんと日本語で説明できるようになってからで。別に今すぐに言わないとダメってわけじゃないよね。
In that case, you can save it until you can explain to me in Japanese. It's not like you have to tell me right now or anything, right?
Yes.
Yes.
お互い頑張ろう。ああ、もちろん無理は禁止ね。ルカは私の話す日本語を聞いて覚える。
Yep.
で、私は
Let's work hard together. Oh, and of course, no overdoing it. You'll learn by listening to the Japanese I speak, and
私は
Watashiwa. That was a little unfair of me. Riku's advantage over me was way too
よ
big.
りはもう無理せず覚えて、ルカと楽しい会話をする。
I'll learn Yuliamo without stressing myself and have fun conversations with you.
それジョーや。
Joya. Sorry, I know alphabet's gonna hit me harder. Like I used to get it all off by heart, but because I'm out of practice, it's harder.
今なんて言ったの？
Huh? What did you say?
秘密です。
Himitsu-desu. Secret.
それどうなの？教えてくれないとわからないって。
If you don't tell me, how am I supposed to understand?
ああ、その顔が分かっている時のやつ。絶対そう。私、ルカに関してはプロフェッショナルなんだからね。
It's a face you make when you know what I'm talking about. I'm sure of it. I'm a professional expert when you come to see you,
プロ
Ruka.
フェッショナル？
Professional.
それはなんていうか、って私には説明させるの？
Professional, that's a loan word. Things between us were cheerful all the way home. If I could go to the same school Ruka did, would every day feel like this? But that might be too much of a good thing. After all, right now, just this moment like this. Oh, okay, I got a Yuliamo dictionary. How useful. Okay, I'm gonna save. I'm gonna take a save and look at what the smeg that
大
was.
丈夫？セーブだけど大丈夫？
Because as far as I can tell, I didn't actually do any of these things. Oh, okay. Oh, I can right click and just get rid of all of the UI. Okay, they left that in. Ah. Are these all the words that I should know? Haro. What's the difference between H and H for umlaut again? It'd be good if they had like a sounding thing as well. That's in the ch. So H for again. Yeah. Probably J. Albeit there was a G with a thing. Game or G's. Yeah. There's a normal Z. I'm going to have to remember some of these. I've got a lot to remember. But I feel like I've lost the basics more than anything. Day after day I studied at the library. However, today was a little different. That was because I had the dictionary I got on the way home yesterday. That's why they've given me that then. Okay, cool.
初めてだよ。辞書がこんなに大切なものに思えたのは。
Never realised before, but just how important dictionaries are. The styles were a little bit different, but I had several dictionaries in my old world. I'd almost never used them though. My old dictionaries were mainly a source of nostalgia each time I stumbled across one, like finding an old pressed four-leaf clover. Sorry, that's hitting me. It was like, what? What do you mean? It's fine. You don't use a dictionary. I say that as if, like, I use a dictionary and I use dictionary.com and have done since Dave Gorman's Google Whack Adventures, but still.
それに引き換え、こちらの辞書はすごい。
This dictionary, on the other hand, is incredible. If I lost this, I probably wouldn't be able to survive. That's how valuable it was to me. The author's name was even written in kanji. I could read it. Mori Reika. I had no idea who that was, but I was beyond grateful for her.
一区切りついたの？
Taking a break? Aye.
辞書がすごく
This
役立って
dictionary is so useful, I've made a lot of progress. Miss Ray's appearance exuded the aura of a teacher. Instruisto, teacher. Oh, in Giuliano, that was Instruisto. I tried writing it down, but it had a lot of st in it.
インストルイスト。インストルイスト？
Instruisto. Instruisto. Yeah, this is one of those things that is the difference in Japanese, which is a syllabic language, to English, which is a no. This is in Esperanto is a non-syllabic language, like English is, whereas a st is a consonant clusters allowed, whereas in Japanese you don't really. There are very special consonant clusters, and only like 3 or 4 of them. I followed the spell in my eyes, but I was getting stuck on the inst part. Rin, you still need more studies. Flock.
はい。いろいろと足りないのは確かです。
Yeah, I definitely need more a lot of
切り
things.
替え大切よ。学習は逃げない。
Change of pace is important. Studies won't run away. She was probably right. As long as I didn't run away.
それにしても、レイさんって日本語は独学ですか？
Anyway, Miss Ray, did you teach yourself Japanese?
メムレルに？キヨ？
Learn ni kiao?
いえ、もしそうだとしたら、すごいなと思って。
Well, I thought if you were, it's just really impressive. Of course, even if someone else taught her, she was still beyond good.
あなた、日本語が母語でしょ？
Is Japanese your mother tongue? I would say native language.
ですよ。私、日本生まれは日本育ちの日本人ですから。
Yeah, Japanese born in Japan, raised in Japan.
アンカウミ。
Oh! Yeah, I was right about her. And Kalmi, which is me too.
ああ、なんだ、レイさんもですか。じゃあ、同じ日本人ですね。
And of course you'd be able to speak Japanese.
ちょっと待った。それ、どういう意味ですか？
Hold on a second, what do you mean by that?
アン
Ankaumi は私もよ。
Ankau me means me too. Yeah, I already knew that. I'm asking her, I wasn't asking her to translate for
レイ
me.
さんも日本人？それってまさか私と同じ？
Ankaumi estas visitanto 自己紹介したはずよ。
Ankau me estas visitanto. I introduced myself, did I not?
あ、そうでしたっけ？
Crap, I didn't remember that at all.
日本人とは明かしてないわね。
Not revealing
やっぱり
Japanese.
そうです。
I knew
聞
it.
かさ
See,
れて
you
ないで
didn't
す
tell
よ。
me. Phew, I hadn't totally lost my mind yet. I want to take the fact that I had assumed she was from this world and bury it in a deep hole.
すでに気づいている。そう思ったのに。
You already figured it out, or so I thought. I did. It's Megan Rin didn't.
そりゃ確かにレイさん、見た目は日本人っぽいですよ。でももらった名刺の名前を見たらそうは思わないかと。
I mean, you definitely look like you're Japanese, but when I saw your name on your business card, I figured you couldn't be. Stuck my lips in a pout and Miss Ray giggled. She took the dictionary on the table and opened it to the first page, pointing to what was written there.
森レイカさんでいいのかな？読みは。
Mori Reika-san, is that the way to say it? Miss Ray nodded for confirmation. Now that was a surprise. Ray, Mori Reika. No way. I took out the business card I got from Miss Ray and checked the name again.
アルバロって？
Ray Arbaro is pulled over the dictionary and looked up Arbaro. Forest, Mori. Yeah, okay. I mean, I didn't know what Arbaro was in Esperanto, so I wouldn't have been able to guess that. I just assumed that she'd taken a different second name. In other words, Ray Arbaro was Reika Mori.
どんな人だろうとか想像してたのに騙されてた。
No, this time I was wondering about who that person was. You lied to me. Her real name was her pen name.
人聞きが悪い。黙っていただけなのに。
You insulted me. I simply said nothing. Sensei, in this case, they're one and the same, don't you
これ
think?
からはレイカさんって呼んだ方がいいんでしょうか？
Can I start calling you Miss Reika now from
こ
now?
れまで通りで。
As you have been. If that's what she preferred, then that's what I do. Except, no, I'd calm down a little. I had a million follow-up
もしか
questions.
して私も名前を変えたりできます？
Possible to change my name too.
あなたが
If you
望
wish.
むなら、
However, conditions
ただ
exist.
し条件があります。
That's good. Some scratch paper in her hand, began scribbling on it. Yeah, there was odd things that I remember because it's odd when you're translating your name to in different countries. Like prerequisite that you're officially registered as a resident of this world. Right. Okay. Yeah. There is. Yeah. This is the immigration papers. Yeah. It was one of the things of like knowing family members and how different translating things per country is sometimes. A lot of the time we just directly translate the word, right? You know, there's some words that are a little bit too weird to translate. For example, it's like you wouldn't translate William into Guillaume in French. That's just too different. So you'd probably keep it as some French pronunciation of William, right? It's the same as we didn't translate Ian into John in Scotland, or it's just the two terms just start coexisting. There's an odd thing with my Chinese grandparents where they actually do have names in English that are really weird, and so I don't use them, but occasionally some of their documentation says their names in English, which are not they're not a transliteration. They are an English equivalent to those names, and my mum also has one of those, right, where she actually does have a proper name in Chinese, and she started preferring that in a lot of places, casually, but she does generally have that. Whereas my name in Chinese, I believe, is transliterated. I didn't there are not all things are different, but I do have the equivalent of the same name in Chinese. And this was odd because I looked up a thing later of some American Chinese immigrants. I believe they were from mainland China, where they took translating names a completely different path. They decided to that people like when they moved to America that they would choose their own American names, and they did, and they say that Americans moving to China should take their own American names, which is their own Chinese names. And when I I always just transliterate my name. It's like I like my name, but it's really weird that there are so many different ways of doing it. Ways of different ways of transliterating names, and it's kind of interesting. Honestly, it's odd because even even in French it was a different way, and yeah, it's cool, I think. Henceforth, you forfeit all special privileges as a visitanto, and only those privileges. To the extent that you are able, you will continue to assist with visitanto issues. Right, so basically you need to, yeah. Interesting, yeah. It is interesting. I always feel like I need to look more into that. Yeah, it's cool. You will continue to assist with visitanto issues. In accordance with the above, you will be able to change your family name and or given name. I traced them with my finger as I read over them. Basically, if I was officially recognised as a resident of this world, I could change my name. So it was basically the name is naturalising a foreign citizen. Basically, you have to, no dual citizenship, you have to give up your previous citizenship to join this world.
帰国子女っぽい？帰国子女って全然違うか。
Ah, expat. Yeah, for reasons. I dislike the word expat because people use it as a thing as a self-identification thing that they're not an immigrant. But that's what an immigrant is. So like an immigrant. Isn't an immigrant totally different? I decided to put the thought of that questionable connection aside for now. The third one seemed closer to a request than a requirement.
今の私だと特権を失うのが厳しいな。
It'd be really rough if I lost my benefits right now. It would be. You're meant to keep them, and that's your time to consider. Without my allowance, I'd have to get a job. It wasn't like I hated the idea of work, but with my current communication skills, I was afraid no one would want to hire me.
レイさんは言葉を覚えて働くようになったから解明ですか？
Miss Ray, you learned the language, and once you were able to work, you changed the name.
それも理由の一つ。
That is one reason.
他にも理由が？
And the other reasons?
結婚を考えて。
Considering marriage.
結婚？そうか。入籍で名字が変わるからですね。
Yeah, since your registered name would change. So that meant Miss Ray.
ベダウリンデ。相手はいないわよ。
Bedaurinde. I have no partner. I don't know what Bedaurinde means. Whoops, she beat me to the punch.
名前すぐに変えたい？
You wish to change the name soon?
いいえ、それはないです。っていうか、変える気ありません。
That's not it. Actually, I'm not really interested. To be honest, I just thought it would be fashionable to have different names for different occasions.
でも、ちゃんと勉強して、ビジタントは卒業しようと思います。
But I will keep studying. I don't plan to be a visitanto forever. I showed my sensei how determined I was. Then Miss Ray said,
いい心がけ。早くコレスポンダントになって。
Good attitude. Become correspondanto quickly.
コレスポン？
Correspond. As I tilted my head at the unfamiliar word, she spelled out correspondanto for me.
コレスポンダントは日本語で文通者。
One who
読み合うの
corresponds.
で手紙のやり取りができる。それぐらいの人を指すの。
Okay, Okay, right, okay. I don't know the precise meaning of correspondent, because to me a correspondent is a person who conveys information. Svegan, that doesn't help because I knew the word was English anyway. Person, one who corresponds, able to read and write letters in Yuliamo, indicates this kind of person.
うん、文通なんで文通が基準なんですか？
Correspondence. Why is correspondence the
そ
standard?
れはユリアーモが踏み付き合いだから。
Because Yuliamo is July love. I had no idea why that had anything to do
す
with
みません
anything.
初心者なので優しくお願いします。
Sorry, I'm a total noob. Please be patient with me.
少し遠回りの説明を。
To explain in a roundabout way, Miss Ray started to speak, then took a deep
こ
breath.
の世界には昔たくさんの訪問者がまとめて現れる。
There was a
そん
time,
な時期があったの。
long ago, there was a time many visitanto appeared in this world all at once.
その人たちはお互いを知らない。でも訪問者同士は謎の共通語で意思の疎通ができたそうなの。
Those people do not know each other, but these fellow visitanto could communicate with one another through mysterious common language. Through a mysterious common language or through mysterious common languages.
その共通語は
One.
この
Okay.
世界にある言語に似ていたり全く違ったり。
That language.
訪問者たちの間でなかなか通じない言葉もある。
That language, while similar to this world's language, also totally different. Even among visitanto existed worlds not easily understood.
はじめそれは訪問者たちの母語と思われた。だけど違った。
At first,
人それぞれ母語は別々。似ていたり似ていなかったり。
it was thought to be Visitanto's native language, but it was not. Each person had a different native language, similar
な
but
ぜ
different.
訪問者が現れるのか、それはわからない。でも時間が経つほどに彼らはこの世界のあらゆる場所、特にこの地域へやってくるようになった。
Why do these Visitanto appear? We do not know. But the more time passes, they appear in every place around the world. In this area especially, they have appeared.
世界の国々が問題を協議し、最初にこの国が法を制定し施行した。
This world's
訪問
nations,
者が集中して現れる地域を特区という法律をね。
this world's nations discussed the problem, and in beginning, in fact, enacted and enforced new laws. This law is designate areas with seemingly high Visitanto concentration as special districts. Ghettos?
さらには訪問者の多くが知る謎の共通語を基礎にこの世界の言葉を加え新しい言語として発表。
Furthermore, they used the mystery language spoken by majority of Visitanto as the basis, added words of this world, and presented as a new language.
それを公式に制定したのがある年の7月だった。
Oh, that's cool! When this was formally enacted, it was July of that year, so Miss wrote Giuliano on the paper, as she said, right, okay, that's a cool backstory for the language, right? Right, okay, I have a feeling that this is a little bit of a choppy translation, right? You know, not to offend the translators, it's hard to translate this kind of thing, but from what I have understood, it's a case of Giuliano was made in this world specifically as a pidgin language, which is when everybody around starts speaking a language that has little elements of each other's common language in a sort of simplified form that make up a new language. There are several languages around the world that have been made just because people needed a common language. So they started speaking little bits of each other's language. And so, you know, things like Creole, Haitian Creole, and Tok Pisin, I believe, were two of the ones that are just built out of you know, people just speaking each other's language. And in this game, a wave of isekais seem to have caused a thing where it's like, okay, we need a common language to speak, and so they made Yuliamo as a common language, if I'm understanding that right. By looking closely, I saw that there was a slight gap in the words separating Yuli and Amo. Yuli
ユ
is
リ
the right
は
word.
7月
Yuli is the root word
ユ
of
リオの
Yulio,
五感
July. Oh, they christened the language of July, Yulio, the month it was enacted as a kind of commemoration.
そうすると後ろの「あーも」って何ですか？
So then, what's the Amo at the end?
愛しい慈しみ愛情の愛でわかる？
Kindness, affection, care, love, you understand? I nodded thoughtfully.
7月は日本語で
What's July in Japanese? Man, I remember how to say a day, not a month. Smeg.
はい、7月は7月ですけど
Shichigatsu. Right, that was it. Smeg. Smegin, so go Gonichi yon Gonichi Shichigatsu would be the 5th of July. Right. Smeg. Once again, it's a case of like remembering me that I'm also learning other languages.
イウアリア戦争他には
Chuyu Aoya Senso. What else? Is that what that means? Chuyu Aoya Senso. I'm pretty sure July wasn't anything other than July.
ヒント古い呼び方
Hint, old name. An old name?
旧暦
Loony calendar? Lunar calendar. Miss Ray looked kind of cute when she wasn't quite sure of herself. No, wait. I knew what she meant by loony
旧暦
calendar.
って旧暦ですよね。7月は旧暦だと文月
Loony calendar. You mean lunar calendar? And when's Chinese New Year? Like, soon. so almost the next year in lunar calendar. In lunar calendar, July is Fumizuki. Wasn't a word I often said outside a calendar, so it took me a little bit to come out with the answer.
7月の愛文月の愛文月の愛文月愛よってユリアーモができる人は文通する人
February 17th. Yes, that sounds right. Tuesday. Yes.
それって語呂合わせ的な
So the whole thing's a play on words. Yeah. Year of the horse, I think, if everybody's right.
Yes
Yes. Once again, I was surprised to find such a Japanese air in the root of a Western expression. The thought of the title of letter writer seemed a little bit more personal than being a correspondanto.
ユリアーモは徐々に受け入れられて浸透しさらに訪問者が増加
Mm.
他の国にも特区が生まれユリアーモが利用されるようになった
Yoyama was gradually
今
adopted.
特区で話される言語
I
そ
keep,
のほとんどはユリアーモ
I keep thinking she's finished speaking and she's not. Yoyama was gradually adopted, all while more visitanto came and other countries formed special districts and also implemented Yuliamo. Now the language spoken in those districts is mainly Yuliamo, because there was so much demand for it. But primarily didn't mean it was possible for things to swing back the other way. It didn't primarily mean it was possible for things to swing back the other way.
もともとの言葉はまさか使われなくなったとか
What about the original languages? Don't tell me nobody uses them anymore.
いいえ特区以外ではもともとの国の言語が利用されているの
Ah,
この国では日本語が普通に
no, outside special districts, each country's original language is used. In this country, Japanese is standard. Ah, thank goodness. You only have spread that far that it wiped out the original languages. Yeah. Yeah, unlike English.
日本語今日本語って言いましたよね。
Wait, Japanese? Did you say Japanese?
誤解しないで。ここはあなたや私が知る日本ではないの。違う世界の違う日本。似ている。でも違う。
Don't misunderstand. It's not the same as the Japanese that you and I know. Different Japanese from a different world. Similar, but different. Miss Ray picked up some documents from the counter. She'd shown me to them when I first came here. They were full of kanji I couldn't read, and some questionable looking
こ
pseudokana.
れがこの世界、この日本の日本語です。
This is this world's
どれぐらい読
Japanese.
める？
How much can you read? Like the last time, the letters felt like I should be able to read, yet couldn't. Made me uneasy.
3割くらい。
About 30%ish. That was including the parts I had to force myself to guess at.
落ち込まないで。私も少ししか読めないの。
Don't be upset, I can only read a little as well. As she said that, Miss Ray slowly brought out another document. This one was the one I could read out loud through my tears that day. I remember that event clearly, and my face started to turn bright
こ
red.
れは私の知る、私がいた世界の日本語。あなたはこれをほぼ問題なく読めた。
Yes, I know, the Japanese from my world. You could read this without much
それ
problem.
ってまさかレさんと私は。
イエス。限りなく近い世界の住人らしいの。私たちは。
Residents of nearly identical worlds. I wonder how rare that is in this. What she said was different from what I had been expecting, but right away I realised her explanation was correct.
だよね。そういうことだよね。
Oh yeah, that's right. For a moment, I'd felt ecstatic, believing that Miss Ray and I were inhabitants of the same world. I didn't say anything about that, though, embarrassed at the misunderstanding. I also felt a little bit betrayed, but that was just me being selfish. Here, a person from a world similar to mine. I should be grateful for that, just that much. If Miss Ray weren't here, then I...
これ、どうぞ。
Here, please. I knew what she was saying by handing me her handkerchief, but it still took a moment for it to fully register.
すみません。後で洗って返しますんで。
Homesickness. These continued to whirl around inside me. Oh god.
このハンカチとってもいい匂いがするな。
Had some kind of fancy scent. Would I be a little bit more mature if my own handkerchief was like this? If I were more mature, would I stop crying all the time like a little kid?
どうすれば。私はどうすればいいの？
What should I do? What's the right thing? I was embarrassed, so I wanted to stop crying as quickly as possible. I wanted to stop. I wanted to, but
少し本を整理してくるわね。
I'll go put some books away. She was so considerate. No, I was going to. Yeah. All I could do was cry my eyes out. I decided to stay in the library so my eyes weren't so swollen. So I passed the time by reading a Yoyama short story Miss Ray recommended to me. The title of the story was Por la Princino, which translated For the Princess. There were parts here and there that I didn't understand, but by looking them up in Miss Reika's dictionary, I was able to get the gist of it, just barely. At any rate, I at least knew it was about a princess and a knight who served her.
よし、今日はここまで。
And that's enough for today. I made sure that my face looked okay in the mirror, and I was about It was about time to be getting home anyway. I don't know why that took so long to read. I went over to Miss Ray at the counter and asked her to check the book out for me. That's not the right button.
一応確認だけはしておきましょうか。Bonjour, Montori Almi Bian Identigiron. ご協力ください。
Let's just confirm, shall we? Bonvolu, Montreal, mi vian identigion. Identigion. Yes, I did say that right. Bonvolu, Montreal, mi vian identigion. Please show to me your identification. ID. Bonvolu Montri Almi Vian Identigilon. Wow.
あなたがちゃんと覚えたか確認
Wow, so impersonal. Do I really have to show you? Svegan. Wow. Do you remember the reason for
あ
coming?
なたがちゃんと覚えたか確認の意味でね
Oh, I can actually press this button.
一応確認だけはしておきましょうか Bonvol Montori Almi Vian Identigilon
Ah, yeah, I
ご
forget. It's,
協力ください
they do also speak Esperanto with a Japanese accent. So it's not. Yeah. I don't know if that means I'll be learning it in a slight Japanese accent. Eh. Her words sounded a little teasing, but it might have been my imagination. I handed over my card, Miss Ray held it up to the camera next to the computer and then started rapidly typing it on the keyboard. Oh yeah, I've never checked anything out before.
私借りるの初めてだから登録が必要なのね
So she needs to register me. Ah, a library card. How useful. It really is useful. Everybody should get a library card. Libraries are really useful. Like, they're so underrated in this day and age because we think of them as a place to get books. But they actually hold so much more things now that it's they hold a lot of activities and learning classes. Mine has like free internet connection for when you don't have internet, which it's not very often now that I have and now that I bought internet, but it was useful when I wasn't when I hadn't fully moved in and I needed somewhere to Google things on Stack Overflow and stuff. I was a little annoyed at myself that I hadn't realised it before handing over the card.
ところでレイさんって元の世界でも図書館にお勤めだったりしたんですか
By the way, Miss Ray, did you work in a library in your old world too?
いいえこの世界に来てから初めてついた仕事が図書館司書よ元の世界では学生だったからでもどうして
To be honest, that maybe it's maybe that because it's maybe to be honest, it's maybe that because books are kind of underrated nowadays. Yeah, they are. It is one of the things. Books are kind of underrated. I know that. I feel it's odd because people always wanted to try and encourage people to read more books, but I think back in the day they also didn't quite get how the medium of reading was changing as well until there were like traditional books. And yeah, libraries are part of that, but there's also things like audiobooks, which modern libraries often stock, and digital books, which modern libraries also stock. It's one of those things that it's like there's when we think of libraries, they have adapted so much more than than we were taught at school when they were trying to get us to read more. And I always had an issue with reading traditional books. Like I could read a whole manga in a day, but online, and I could read an entire fan fiction that's like Svegan 80 pages long without much of a Svegan blink. But when it came to traditional books, the organisational thing made it a little bit hard. I'm sorry, that sounded really hard to read. I don't know if it actually was hard to read or if I'm just getting reading fatigue from having read lines of text that I'm not even sure are properly translated. I think that might just be what's going on right now when my head is trying to find the intonation in every line that's being said. So my brain is a jumbled mess right now. I honestly think that's what that is. Because like the way you've typed there, it's like I type like that. It's like so I can't blame you. But, I'm trying to. I think my brain's just a bit of a mess from doing so much reading. Honestly.
なんか板についてるって感じがしたんで
It's just you seem really good at it.
コーランダンコンポルビアラウド
Coran dankon por via laudo. Something thank you for the words. That might just be thank you for the words. I don't know what via laudo means or anything. I could tell She was capable from the way she smiled without even pausing her typing. Once I started working, would I become as skilled as her? No, my depressing prediction was that every day would be likely a comedy of errors. This is... The issue is that there is a thing of Mount Stupid, where you get really good at something, and once you get good enough, you'll think that you're really good at something until you get to a certain point where you'll feel really dumb or really bad at it, and that's only because you know it enough that you are actually good at it, and that's just a human experience. It's like you're gonna get good at something, you're gonna feel like you're not the best, even if you are the best. And if you are the best and you get imposter syndrome and you don't know you're the best, or at most you've convinced yourself that you are the best just to get rid of some of that imposter syndrome, or encourage you to be the best, which, works. It's not necessarily good, Megan. I would say take care of your mental health first, and then try your how good you are at your skills. It's one of those things. If like a functioning person is more important than the best person, you only need to be good enough for the job. And if you're better than you need to be for the job, all the better. Just don't sacrifice for that little for those extra points. I think maybe you can when you're young and you're learning. Yeah. But be careful. You don't want to end up like me and losing your ability to walk because you do that. Back in my old world, I declared in front of Yuzu that I'd be some kind of vague sports instructor.
もしもの話ですけど、レイさん、元の世界にいたままだったら。
This is just a what if, but Miss Ray, if you were still in your old world.
これがあなたのカードです。
Here's your card, please don't lose it.
はい、ダンコン。
Alright, Dankon. Dankon is thank you. The build up to my question was cut off thanks to my bad timing. I think she did that deliberately. I put the card she gave me into the bag, and along with the short story, I was about to tell her Gisara Vido. See ya. But before I could, Miss Ray.
元の世界なら違う仕事だったと思う。
In my old world, I would have a different job, I think, she responded. It looked like she heard me after all.
レイさん、元の世界にいた当時は何になりたかったんですか？
Miss Ray, when you were in your old world, what did you want to be? What did you want to be when you grew up?
小説家。
An offer. Chivere? For real? Oh crap, I responded in Yuliamo without thinking. That's a good thing. That means you're immersed, You should always be experimenting with the language that you're learning. Wait, that's not a bad thing.
嘘よ。
So, just kidding.
ひどい。
This woman.
でも、もし元の世界へ戻れたなら。
However, if I could just return to my world, I might aspire to be... She got a song all of a sudden, and wasn't sure how to respond appropriately.
レイさんの書くお話だったらすごく売れそう。
Any story you wrote would be sure to sell like crazy. I didn't have anything to base that on, but I couldn't help feel it was true. Although...
元の世界に帰れないのに、こんな想像しても仕方ないですよね。
Imagining this kind of stuff when you can't go back seems kind of pointless, doesn't it? I don't think so. I regretted not talking about having any dreams.
あなたの将来の夢は？
What is your dream?
私ですか？特にはまだ。ほら、ユリアもすらまだ怪しいですし。
Me? I don't really have one. Look, I'm still having trouble with Yuliamo.
元の世界の話よ。
In your old world.
そんなの、もう帰れない世界の夢なんて。
Having a dream in the world I can't go back to is kind of... Just thinking about it made me sad. I just lowered my head when...
帰れるかもしれないわ。
It might be possible to go home. Miss Ray offered me those words.
Kininnaru na.
All right. I think I'm going to end it there.
しますよ
I do have movie night and stuff to do with people, so I do have to leave. But I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream. Thank you for One Trainee too for commenting a lot. It's been great having you. And so I will see you guys next time.